Hello, hope you're having a great day. Today we're reviewing Fulfillment Box, a network of warehouses for e-commerce sellers. We'll discuss how they operate and how they can help you, whether you're an Amazon seller or in e-commerce in general. We have about 20 questions that will give us insight into Fulfillment Box, how the team works, and what they offer. Joining us today is Vitali, the founder of Fulfillment Box, who will walk us through their process. They currently have over 20 warehouses worldwide, and it's fascinating to see how this setup works and how it simplifies the supply chain for sellers. You'll find the best offer for working with them in the description. We'll talk about it as well. Welcome, Vitali. Hey, thanks for having me. Everything's great. So, yes, it's a network of warehouses. Super, cool. Could you tell us a bit about yourself? So, let's start with your story, then we'll dive into how your network was created. Lots of questions ahead, I'll think it will be interesting. I originally got into warehouse logistics through e commerce, which is probably the case for most people in this industry. We started back in 2007 with Amazon returns. That was our first step into e commerce. We processed returns that sellers bought from larger retailers, then resold some of them. Around that time, niche markets like Apple products and LCD TVs were just emerging, and we got into those as well. Fast forward 5 years, we realized there was a real demand for this kind of service. Initially, we operated only in Germany, since I was living there at the time. Our first prep center was in Bremen, simply because that's where we were based. So, as more sellers started reaching out for help, we saw the growing demand and expanded step by step. Over time, we transitioned from working mainly with e commerce sellers to focusing on logistics services, specifically warehouse logistics. That said, we still have businesses within our company that handle sales, so we understand the needs and challenges of different niches firsthand. That's really cool. You've been through the entire process yourself, experienced all the challenges firsthand, and built this business based on that experience. It's great that you truly understand the seller's needs. Yeah, we've been doing this since 2007. That's when I first started exploring this field. Step by step, we tried everything. I tested all the business models that exist on the market today. So I have a clear understanding of the challenges sellers face, what they need, and how to solve those problems effectively. Nice, so you currently have 24 warehouses, right? Or was the last one in France? I'm not sure if that one is already included in the count. Yeah, let's break it down. We started with one warehouse in Germany, then expanded to Poland and the UK, just growing step by step across Europe. About a year ago, we entered the US, which felt like a big leap for us. The scale of the American market was a bit intimidating at first, but we went for it. Now, a year later, we have 12 warehouses across 12 states, strategically located near Amazon hubs. So, in total, yes, we have 24 warehouses across 12 countries. Awesome. And who are your main customers? Are they only Amazon sellers, private label brands, online arbitrage, wholesale, Shopify? Who do you typically work with? We don't focus on any specific niche, but if we had to highlight one, it would be FBA sellers. That's our main specialization. Mostly because we started as Amazon sellers ourselves. At one point, up to 95% of our sales came from Amazon. So naturally, we developed deep expertise in that area. That said, we don't limit ourselves to any particular business model or marketplace. We work with sellers who operate through different platforms, marketplaces, their own websites, and even TikTok, which is becoming more popular for e commerce. We're completely open to various models with just one exception. We don't handle temperature-sensitive goods. Other than that, everything is fair game. What about dropshipping? Do you work with dropshippers on Amazon or other platforms? Well, dropshipping was actually one of the first models we worked with, running alongside our Amazon sales. So, yes, we do support it. In fact, we've even developed automation specifically for dropshipping, allowing sellers to operate without direct manager involvement or any manual correspondence. The entire process is fully automated. Personally, I see dropshipping as something you can do on the side rather than build an entire business around. That's just my opinion. But from a logistics standpoint, our warehouses fully support dropshippers thanks to this automation. Sellers can even choose which warehouse they want to work with and where to send their goods, all within the system. So there is an application where the client logs in, sees all the warehouses, navigates through the system, and everything is clear, right? And now about technical support. Let's say a seller, whether a drop shipper or a private label seller like me, joins your platform. How does communication with your team work? How does the support process start? Well, those are actually two different questions. As for communication, right now we primarily use Telegram chat. However, we are gradually transitioning to an application that works with ESL Pro. This is the software we provide to clients for warehouse management. The basic version is free and covers all essential needs. Essentially, it's a single personal account where clients can connect to all our warehouses or any warehouse using the same system. This means they're not limited to just our network. If their fulfillment center also uses this software, they can work with them in parallel. Regarding technical support, as I mentioned, we currently communicate via Telegram, Skype, or WhatsApp, whatever is most convenient for the client. In the future, we plan to move everything into the software, implementing a ticket system. This will allow us to respond more efficiently and avoid confusion, since for the clients we're one company, but on our side, we handle many clients with different requests. The ticket system will help us manage everything more precisely. Okay, got it. We'll include the current communication channels in the description. Once you upgrade the system, we'll update the info accordingly. And as I mentioned, we'll also include the best offer from the team for those looking to start working with Fulfillment Box. So check that out as well. I'll make sure all the details are there. Now, what about languages? We have Russian-speaking viewers, Ukrainian-speaking viewers, English speakers, and maybe even some from Europe. I doubt we have many Spanish speakers watching right now, but still, what languages does your team support? We support four main languages: German, English, Ukrainian, and Russian. Our technical support team works in two shifts, one for the European time zone and the other for North America. Got it. Now, tell us about the workflow. Do you use Google Sheets software or YSL Pro? We provide clients with software where they can manage all their products. They can either add products manually or import them directly from Amazon and link them to other marketplaces. Our system integrates with Amazon, eBay, Walmart, and various European platforms like Metro, Poland's Allegro. All product data and orders sync into a single interface on the client side, then get routed to the appropriate prep center. For example, many of our clients operate in both Europe and the US, with separate companies for each region but the same product catalog. Some use European warehouses, while others ship from US facilities. Our system allows them to set up rules so that orders from Shopify, for instance, are automatically fulfilled from the correct location. European orders ship from Germany or another designated country, while US orders are processed from an American warehouse. So this setup covers both continents seamlessly. If a client wants to send an FBA shipment to US warehouse, they simply select the nearest prep center, and the system routes it accordingly. It's a flexible, efficient solution that optimizes logistics for sellers. Got it. So here is a question. Let's say someone watching right now is a complete beginner. Maybe they haven't even started selling yet. They're just looking into FBA in the US, and all of this is totally new to them. Do you offer consultations? Maybe they need a prep center but don't fully understand how it works, or they just want to learn about your company. Do you have any kind of coaching or consulting specifically for new sellers? Yes, actually, we just launched a new initiative called Instructor, kind of like a consulting service. We've been getting tons of requests like, can you help me with this? I can figure this out on Amazon. Small but important issues that sellers struggle with. Our regular support team is strictly for warehouse related questions. That's their job. They don't handle marketplace issues because honestly, that takes time and no one is paying for it. But we saw the high demand for this kind of help, so we created a dedicated service to fill that gap. We call it Instructor, and their job is to guide sellers step by step. If someone needs help uploading images, setting up a shipping template, or adjusting some setting, they just send us a list of questions instead of wasting time trying to figure everything out on their own. Then our instructor, who is an experienced Amazon seller, books a 30-minute slot and walks them through the process. It's not just for Amazon either. If someone needs help with Shopify or eBay, we'll match them with the right expert. The cost is very straightforward, €10 for a 30-minute session. Now, we're not doing this to make money. The price makes that pretty clear. The real goal is to support new sellers, especially those who come out of various training courses, some of which leave people completely lost. We've seen so many beginners struggling with information overload, and while courses are great, they often lack the personalized guidance that people need. So this is our way of helping sellers get on the right track. And of course, we hope that in the future, some of these beginners will grow into successful sellers and continue working with us. That's the long-term vision behind it. Yeah, that's a great idea, man. Like you said, a lot of sellers run into problems and don't know where to turn. If no one helps them, sure, they might eventually find the answer somewhere else. But with this, they get the help they need at a great price. And in the process, they might become your client, grow with you, and even recommend your company to others. It's like a flying wheel effect. It starts spinning and it just keeps going. So yeah, I think it's a really smart move. I wanted to ask, there are different types of sellers. I personally do FBA. We sell through FBA in Canada and the US, but we've never done FBM. Do you offer services for both FBA and FBM sellers? And what's the difference? What are the advantages of your clients in each case? Yeah, well, we all know Amazon is tightening the screws, and more marketplaces are starting to gain traction, like TikTok, for example. You can't ignore this shift. You have to keep up with the times. That's why we recommended that sellers start considering FBM as an option, at least as a backup. Our fulfillment network is actually perfect for this. For example, if a client imports products from China, they can first send them to a prep center in California. which is the closest point for receiving shipments. From there, they can send inventory to FBA, while handling returns at a warehouse in Indiana, where processing costs are lower. We give our clients full flexibility. They can choose any warehouse and any service that fits their needs. Since our warehouses are spread across the US, prices vary. A return process in Indiana might cost $2, while the same service in California could be $3, $4 because of higher labor and storage costs. So let's say a client has stock in three locations: California, Indiana, and Texas. When an order comes in, we ship it from the nearest warehouse, depending on the customer's location. This way, we minimize delivery costs while keeping fast shipping times. It's essentially the FBA model, but under the seller's full control. The system is fully automated. You set it up once, and it runs on its own. No need to manually request shipments or coordinate every step. With the wave of Amazon account suspensions lately, putting all your eggs in one basket, one account, one platform is risky. That's why we encourage sellers to diversify across different marketplaces like Walmart, eBay, and we're currently in negotiations with UPS to offer even better shipping rates than Amazon's partnered program. Hopefully, very soon we'll be able to provide even more competitive pricing, making our FBM solution a real alternative to FBA, but with greater flexibility and lower costs. That's cool, man. Yeah, it's basically a logistics optimization for sellers. So a seller comes in, and your goal is to make everything as cost effective as possible, ensuring that with every sale, they maximize their profit. And even in a complex setup, like if there is a return in Indiana, stock in another warehouse, and something else happening elsewhere, you guys somehow have it all calculated and automated. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it's awesome that there is a system that handles everything. Yeah, it's fully automated. The client sets everything up once and it just runs on its own. It might sound complex when you first hear about it, but in reality, it's completely hands off. You configure it, test it, launch it, and that's it. Everything works seamlessly. Next question, we briefly touched on returns. So you handle returns, meaning sellers can send their returns to you, right? For example, if an Amazon FBA seller needs to process a return, can they use your prep center's address for that? Is that possible? Yes, absolutely. This can be either an FBA removal or an FBA return. We actually differentiate between them. FBA removal refers to new products that were sent back for certain reasons, maybe an account ban, an ASIN restriction, or something similar. FBA return includes products that were already sold through FBA, reached the customer, and were then returned. Naturally, the processing costs are different for each case. There is also a general return service. These are orders that were shipped from any marketplace, not just Amazon. In fact, we even have clients who don't use our fulfillment services, but still process their returns through us. Some of them have been working with other fulfillment centers for a while, but test our return processing, and once they're happy, they fully switch over. To explain the process briefly, the seller receives a notification when a return arrives. They just confirm it, and the order status updates automatically. The system shows them what happened to the product, its condition upon return. For each client, we set up rules in advance for handling returns. So, if the product is new, it's restocked as new. If it's used, it's classified accordingly. Some sellers might want to assign custom conditions or even dispose of certain products. Everything is automated, so there is no need to manually check or request updates. The system automatically restocks the item and makes it available for resale. It's all fully streamlined. That's cool. So, in the description, we'll probably leave a link to a page where people can check the pricing for all these services like how much removals cost, the receiving fee, how much returns cost, etc. We'll link to a page on your website where sellers can see different rates for different warehouses. I think that will be really useful for them. Yeah, that's actually one of the things that set us apart. We're fully transparent. Every warehouse's pricing is clearly listed on our website. You can find all the details about us, our services, and our pricing at fulfillmentbox.com. Okay, I'll put a link in the description, along with the best offer for working with you. Okay, now let's talk about product categories. What about returns for, say, a bike or something like hazmat goods like hazardous materials? Do you handle all types of returns or other restrictions? How does it work? Well, we try to cover the full spectrum of products. If a client is working with us, the best approach is to check with us first before setting our address for returns, especially for hazardous or restricted items, since some products simply can't be stored everywhere. The ideal solution is to request approval beforehand, and if it's an unusual item, ask for a custom price estimate. For example, if it's furniture, it makes much longer to process compared to, say, a computer mouse, where we can quickly check if it's working or not. We work based on custom instructions from the client. When the return comes in, our system automatically displays the client's specific instructions for that item, and we follow them exactly. So there is no need for spreadsheets. Everything is stored directly in the product card under the client's profile. If any instructions change, the client simply updates them, and we follow the new process. I think another question that a lot of people would be interested in is about order processing times. What are your standard timeframes? It's actually 24 hours. We aim to process everything that came in yesterday so that it ships out tomorrow. We also follow Amazon's Prime model. If an order is placed before 1 p.m., we can ship it in the same day. But of course, this comes with an additional urgency fee since we do an extra processing round to get it out faster. Also, there is an expedited shipping options as well. That's cool. Another thing that might interest the guys. Of course, today we're talking about fulfillment box, but still, how do you choose a prep center? I mean, if someone is searching for a prep center right now, what should they pay attention to? What do you need to prepare before reaching out to a prep center? How do you come in ready and actually understand which prep center to go with? Well, the first thing, obviously, is location. The second is experience and stability. We've seen how prep centers grow, and offer their reliance on just a couple of clients can be really risky. What do I mean by that? Say a big client comes in, and the prep center expands its capacity to accommodate them. But then the client's account gets banned, or something else happens. And suddenly, the prep center can't sustain itself and shuts down. That's why small garage-style prep centers might be attractive because of their low prices, but they offer no real security. I mean, we're talking about a one-person operation. What if they wake up one day, get fed up, or something happens on their end? They can do whatever they want with your inventory. Of course, it depends on the seller's perspective and the type of products they're dealing with. Some might think, it'll be fine. Let's be honest, this kind of mindset, especially among us Slavs, often backfires. At the end of the day, it's about priorities. If you're selling high-value products, you naturally want to minimize risk. One way to do that is by spreading your inventory across multiple locations instead of relying on a single prep center. That's exactly what our network allows, distributing stock across several warehouses to reduce dependency on just one. So when choosing a prep center, experience plays a huge role. And that brings us a question: why us? We've been in e-commerce since 2007, gathering experience in this space, and we've been operating as a dedicated prep center for the past 5 years. Okay, and the second factor is reputation. We don't have a single unresolved conflict, and honestly, that's probably the most important thing. Issues, disagreements, or differences in opinion, they're always going to happen. But the real question is how those problems get solved. Another huge factor is customer support. Are they always available? Because let's be real, if I message a prep center and don't get a reply, or if I call and no one picks up, I start worrying. I get anxious. And that's already a red flag. That's why we put a lot of effort into our support team. We invest heavily in them, and they give it their all, 100%. No one can say we're slacking in that department. Sure, little hiccups happen, but we acknowledge them, fix them, and keep moving forward. Another big advantage is that every client gets a dedicated manager who works across all our warehouses. So if they have a question, they don't have to run around talking to different people. They have one go-to person who knows them and their business. We also have VIP clients with dedicated managers who handle their requests as a priority, ensuring lightning-fast processing times. For me, account managers are a crucial factor, especially for business owners who are juggling a million things at once. I know this firsthand. When we built this system, we did it with the client's needs in mind because at the end of the day, the most important thing is the service. What else? Automation of processes, meaning processing speed. This is definitely something you should ask a prep center about. How long does it take to process orders? Because there is a peak season and off season. And the real question is, how prepared is the prep center for peak season? Do they rely on subcontractors or do they hire additional staff during that time? Quarter four is the most crucial period. It's when everything needs to be processed quickly and efficiently. And honestly, that's when a lot of prep centers start running into serious issues. In fact, most of our new clients come to us after quarter four because their previous prep centers simply couldn't handle the workload, which led to massive financial losses. Another critical factor when choosing a prep center is insurance. What happens if my inventory gets lost? We sign a contract with our clients that clearly states we cover the cost of lost goods, including delivery to the warehouse. So if something goes missing, we investigate and reimburse the client within a maximum of 2 weeks. And of course, pricing. Our prices are 100% transparent from the very start. We always tell our clients, check the pricing first. If it works for you, then let's move forward. I'd say all these factors fall under one big category, reliability. All right, Vitali, thanks for your answers. Here is another question for people who sell high-value products. For example, items that have serial numbers. Do you work with serial numbers, and what about expiration dates for perishable goods? Do you support these kinds of products? Yes, we do. We have several clients who work with serial numbers, though they're not as common. One example is laptops, where the product itself is the same, but each unit has a unique serial number. Our system fully supports this. You can even choose which serial number to send with a specific order. It's fully automated, and we even integrate via API, since we have a large client who relies on this functionality. So yes, it works 100% automatically. The same goes for expiration dates. If a client sells perishable or time-sensitive products, the system prioritizes shipping the earliest expiration dates first. And more than that, when placing an order, the client can manually select a specific expiration date to ship. This also works via API, so they can automate everything if needed. Got it? That's a good option. Next question, what about inserts? Like thank you cards. Let's say a seller wants to include a small flyer or a card with a QR code that leads somewhere when scanned. Do you offer that service? How does it work? Can sellers just send you the design and you print and insert them into packages? Or do they need to ship the pre-printed cards to you? Technically, we can print them, but in most cases, sellers send us their pre-printed flyers. We actually have a client who uses 5 or 6 different flyers for different products. The process is fully automated. Each product in our system can be linked to a specific flyer, and when we ship an order, our system automatically tells us which flyer from the seller's available stock should go into the box with the product. So once everything is set up, it runs automatically. Just set it and forget it. Got it, sounds cool. One more question, what exactly are 2D barcodes? Yeah, I've actually heard a couple of interviews where people are raving about 2D barcodes. Personally, I have a more practical take on it. Basically, it's just a barcode label that is generated for an FBA shipment. It tells Amazon's warehouse system exactly what's inside a specific box, which helps speed up shipment process significantly. These barcodes have been around for over 6 months now, maybe longer. And at this point, I think every prep center is using them. It's just an easy way to make Amazon's inbound process smoother. We always apply these labels to every shipment we send. So, is this something you can download from Seller Central? Like, let's say I'm creating a shipment from China to the US. Do my suppliers in China print the 2D barcode label and stick it on the box before shipping? Where do you actually get these 2D barcodes? You know what? I'm not 100% sure if you can download them directly from Seller Central. For us, it's all handled through our system, so I've never really needed to check. Logically, I'd assume that when you create a shipment, there should be an option to generate and print a 2D barcode, but honestly, I can't say for sure. So a 2D barcode is basically an Amazon feature, right? Yeah, it's essentially a QR code, a label with a QR code that Amazon scans to instantly identify what's inside the box. That actually leads me to my next question, logistics. Let's say a seller wants to ship products from your prep center to another location. Do you guys handle that, or is logistics not something you deal with? Like, for example, if someone wants to ship products from China directly to your prep center in the US, do you offer any support with that, or how does it work? Yeah, absolutely. Since we take care of warehouse operations, we also manage logistics. We can ship products to our clients from anywhere in China, whether it's China to the US, China to Europe, US to Europe, or even domestic shipping within the US. We offer competitive rates, so if someone has a shipping request, they can compare prices and see what works best for them. Our goal is to cover everything for the seller. So, with just one point of contact, they can handle their entire supply chain. From getting their product shipped to our prep center in the US to sending it out to customers or even forwarding it to Amazon FBA, we take care of all of that. So, let's say a seller buys products in China and reaches out to you. If I understand correctly, can you ship directly to FBA as well? Like if they say, guys, we need help, we want to send it straight to FBA from China. Is it possible? Yes, of course. You see, we understand that a prep center is essentially an extra step in the process, not a source, but an additional expense for the seller, which ideally they should avoid. And we totally get that. But there are cases where using a prep center makes sense for the client. And that's exactly why we exist. Not to add unnecessary costs, but to actually help. So if a client comes to us and says, guys, we need to calculate shipping from China to a US warehouse, but not to an FBA warehouse, then why not? If it makes sense for both sides, we give them a quote. They either say yes or no. It's as simple as that. The same goes for logistics to Amazon warehouses. For example, if it's a hazmat product, Amazon doesn't provide a partnered shipping label, so the seller either has to find the solution themselves or just ask us to handle it, saving them time. In terms of cost, it ends up being about the same as if they were searching for a shipping label on their own. But with us, it's all automated, seamless, and hassle free. Like I mentioned earlier, we're currently working with UPS, and I'm hoping that very soon we'll be able to offer FBA shipping at an even lower cost than Amazon's partner rates. So we're looking to cover that need as well. That's awesome. I also want to add that we've worked with different logistics companies, and they do help a lot. But I remember a case where we needed to ship from Canada to the US, and most of these guys mainly handle China to the US or China to Canada, which is great, and we work with them. But at the moment, they didn't have a solution for Canada to the US. So it's really good that you guys can at least check and see if that's something you can handle. And like I mentioned, even for intra-European shipping or moving goods between countries, that's a pretty cool option to have. Well, since we operate in Canada, shipping from Canada to the US is definitely something we can handle. We can fully cover logistics from Canada to the US or from the US to Canada, no problem. That being said, it's not always the most cost-effective option. For smaller shipments, it's usually not worth it, and sellers need to understand that. It just wouldn't make sense for a prep center to process a single package like that. So in cases like that, we just tell them, guys, this isn't something we handle. Buy your own shipping label. Now, if they're already our clients, they can purchase the label directly through our portal. All right, next question. We already touched on this a bit, but what are the first steps to get started? Let's say someone is listening right now thinking, okay, this sounds interesting. There's logistics, multiple warehouses in different countries. I can check the pricing through the link in the description, but how do they actually start working with you? Is there a get started button on the website, or is it better to contact you via Telegram or email? Ideally, the best way to start is by submitting a request through our website. That way, our sales team can pick it up right away and figure out exactly what the client needs. Based on that, we recommend the most suitable prep center. Most sellers already have a good idea of which prep center they want to use. It often comes down to location and pricing. Some sellers prioritize storage costs, while others care more about turnaround speed. For example, our Chicago warehouse has higher storage fees because warehouse space there is expensive, whereas our Indiana warehouse offers more affordable rates. So again, we always recommend reaching out via the website because it allows us to properly assess what the seller needs. The request goes to tech support and sales. They analyze it, make recommendations, and then pass it to the support team, which handles the account setup. Once onboarded, the seller gets access to ESL Pro and is connected to the prep center. We don't charge for invites and we have no subscription fees. The contract we sign is purely for clarity. It's just there to define how things should be handled in the case of any issues. It doesn't lock the seller into working only with us. In fact, they can sign the contract today and then start using our services in a month, 2 months, or even three. It's totally up to them, and there is no obligation. So basically, they just go to the website, sign up, and they're good to go. It's all streamlined, right? Yeah, they just submit a request and we take care of the rest. Ideally, everything goes through the website. Okay, and when filling out the request, they can also mention that they came from this video. That way, you'll know they find you through the video and maybe you can hook them up with a little bonus. Absolutely, let's do this. If someone signs up and uses the code word Vova, we'll give them 2 weeks of free storage at any of our warehouses, plus 10% of their first month of warehouse services. That's awesome, great offer, thanks. We'll leave all the details in the description, so let's say people use the code, get the discount and free storage, that's cool, but how do they actually pay out? Do you take PayPal, Pioneer, bank transfers, or what's the process? Pretty much any payment method works. We accept PayPal, Pioneer, direct transfers to a US bank account or a European bank account. Thanks to our network, we can process payments in Europe as well. A lot of our sellers are from Eastern Europe and former CIS countries, so we've made it easy for them. I know some people struggle with payments to US companies because wire transfers come with extra fees. and transaction costs. But here we can work something out sellers to receive an official invoice from our company and can pay use whatever method works best for them. Got it? That's convenient. Well, I think we've covered everything about fulfillment box, the services, logistics, and all that. Now I want to ask you something about your own skills. I mean, 24 warehouses, a full team, a website, a system for managing orders and support, 24/7 service. You built all this. You have team in different countries and everything is running smoothly. So my question, how do you structure things? How do you think when building a system like this? Because clearly the company is working well, growing. What's your mindset when it comes to building something like this? The company runs great, I'll say that. But honestly, the key for me has always been having the right people around me. That's the most important factor. Back in the day, I used to work crazy hours, but now I try to structure my day so that I work until noon or 2 p.m. Doesn't always happen, but that's the goal. And the reason I can do that is because of the team. It's not just me, it's us, it's the people I work with. I could never have built this alone. So I'd say the most important thing is knowing when to delegate, when to step back, and when to trust your team, but also verify. That's the golden rule. Can I ask you more about building a team? I get that trust is key, and understanding that you actually need a team is important. And there you have to check on people too, totally agree. But how do you often find great people? Do you grow with them over time or do they somehow find you? It's both, really. First off, we have a certain hiring standard. And of course, we have our own HR team that filters candidates properly. But honestly, time itself filters people too. I have a strict rule. I'm naturally a very soft person, and I find it really hard to fire people. Like, seriously hard. That's why having someone else handle that part changes the game. My approach is simple. I tell my employees, we're here to work and make money, not to hold hands. One of the most important lessons I've learned is knowing when someone isn't a fit and acting on it. Here is a key thought. If your employee doesn't do something, you'll have to do it yourself. That's the number one thing you need to drill into your head, because I don't want to do it. I'm naturally a bit lazy, so I'd rather delegate. That's why I have an HR team, and they filter our candidates. We have a probation period, and after that, we make a final decision. Another key point, you can always find someone, no matter their level, even if it's just for a couple of hours a day. I go to a ton of conferences and meet so many people. This year, for the first time, we officially presented ourselves as a company, really putting ourselves out there. Because honestly, we know we're great and it's time to say it loud. And you know what? I've met so many successful sellers, and the common regret I hear is, I wish I had started hiring sooner. They wish they had brought in even just part-time help, 2, 3, 4 hours a day, because without delegation, you get stuck. Sure, the first hire might not be great, maybe not the second, third, or even 10th, but you have to keep looking. It's like doing product research, it's a process. And one last thing, there are tasks a leader should never be doing. If you as a leader find yourself stuck in routine tasks, then guess what? You're not a leader, you're just a worker. Yes, at first you'll make less money because you're paying people, but guess what? You'll also be working less. That's the real trade-off. And as a leader, your job isn't to be stuck in the day-to-day, it's to see the bigger picture. So take the short-term hit, delegate, and focus on where you actually want to be. Awesome. Thanks for sharing these insights with us. Just a quick reminder for everyone, we'll leave all the links to Fulfillment Box in the description. It's a great offer. You can check the pricing, see how it works, get in touch, and ask any questions. Also, there is this cool consulting service that Vitali mentioned. For just €10, you can get an Amazon consultation. Honestly, I think that's an amazing deal. Like, really, that's a super solid offer. All right, so one last question. What would you wish for yourself this year? We're recording this is the end of July, so there is a little under 6 months left. It's been a pretty interesting year so far, at least that's how I feel. What about you? What would you wish for yourself? Honestly, I'd wish myself peace of mind, just for everything to run smoothly without issues. That's probably the most important thing for me. If we're talking personally, then yeah, just inner calm, less stress, no bans or unexpected problems, just stability. That's what really matters to me, because once you have that, everything else falls into place. Yeah, that's really interesting. Thanks for sharing, and to everyone listening or watching, wishing you all peace of mind, great sales, and strong results. Also, let's all try to step out of the routine more. I'll wish that for myself too, slowly improving in that area, building my own team. But honestly, I'm still not quite there yet, if I'm being real. Still, I'm moving forward, and that journey, breaking out of routine, stepping away from day to day processes, and becoming more of a navigator, is actually pretty interesting. Stepping away from the main topic for a second, I'll tell you this. There was a period in my business journey, about 5 years, where I was doing everything myself. And I mean everything from A to Z. I had a couple of employees, but it wasn't until I discovered social media, YouTube, and started networking with other people that I really began delegating work. It just takes time. Everyone has their own path. I also used to work crazy hours from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., not just for a couple of hours here and there, but grinding for 14 hours a day. That phase is behind me now. But the key is to always look around and figure out how to escape the routine faster. Sometimes apps and tools can help, but when they don't, you need people. So you bring in the right team, delegate, and keep moving forward. That's the most important thing. Keep moving, don't stand still. Books can also be really helpful when it comes to stepping out of day to day operations. Have you heard The E Myth? It's a pretty good one. Michael Gerber wrote it. He talks a lot about this idea of how to step back and actually work on the business instead of being stuck working on in the business. You know what I mean? I've been in business since 2016, so definitely not as long as you, but I've gone through that same process, starting out doing everything myself and now slowly moving into delegation, setting up systems, and figuring out how to structure processes properly, like understanding what standard operation procedures really are, how to put them into checklists so people can follow them. But honestly, eventually, letting go of tasks was one of the hardest parts for me. Yeah, and actually, on that topic, we've got two levels of business consulting. We work with specialists who helped us build our own business system, and we made a deal with them to offer mentorship programs. There is one specifically for beginners, but I didn't really mention it earlier since our goal here isn't to push services. It's more about helping sellers so that down the line we can build win win relationships. And for advanced sellers, we offer business process optimization. The business consultant actually steps in to help set things up. These are people we've been working with for over 4 years, and I personally know them. If the beginner level consultation costs €10 for 30 minutes, then this higher level one is €20 for 30 minutes. But we only offer this to our existing clients because this type of business consulting is normally very expensive, and we're providing it as an extra value add for our sellers. But yeah, I just want to wish you more growth, less time stuck in routine, and to keep pushing forward. And to everyone watching, I hope you all get to that next level soon as possible. Always look ahead. Vitali, huge thanks for your time today. Once again, all the links to Fulfillment Box are in the description. Definitely the best option if you're looking for a great team to work with. I really enjoyed this talk. It was fun and super insightful, and it was cool to touch a bit on the mindset of a business owner. Hearing your real experiences and insights based on actual results was really valuable. And to everyone watching, thanks for tuning in. Put a like or dislike and write a comment. Thanks again, Vitali.